Hello and welcome to another episode of EBN Connections. So today I'm here with the lovely Nadine, who's our Deputy Head of our Motor City branch. Today we're going to be talking all about learning through play, which is the core of everything we do. Hello Nadine.
Hi Muslin, thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, so we're going to start today by talking about when children are just playing, what are they actually learning? Because children don't just play at EBN, and there's a lot of play-based learning. Do you want to talk us through that?
Absolutely, it's actually a really good question. So when children are just playing, there's far more than meets the eye. If a child is, for instance, playing with building blocks, they are working on early mathematical concepts, they're building communication if they're playing with a friend, and they are working on all of the foundational skills for learning. If they are engaged in imaginative play, they are pretending to be a doctor or playing cook in the kitchen, they are actually learning to understand the world around them.
Yeah, there's a lot more goes on. So we think under 5 it's just about play-based learning, but actually we have a full curriculum and that involves lots of learning goals, and through all the play-based activities that we do, we're actually making sure that fundamental foundational skills are there through the role play, through the puzzles, through all the creative learning, through the phonic programs that we do, but they're all based on play to make sure that it's lots and lots of fun for the children that we have. So that takes us on to, why is play considered the most important part of early years education? Why is it so important that children learn through play?
Play is absolutely the most important part of learning at a young age, because this is how children naturally learn. At this stage, their brains develop through hands-on experiences, active experiences, instead of instructional learning.
Yeah, it's all about, we might have a teacher-led activity where the teacher is maybe implanting some knowledge and doing some key kind of skills learning, and then after that we have lots of breakout rooms and activity rooms, and the children will then go and play and expend some energy in the role play room, in the small world room, in the construction room, and that's where it's down to them. They're playing and exploring the way that they want to, choosing the materials that they want to play with. And I think that then kind of brings us on to the next aspect of what we were going to talk about. Is play really enough to prepare children to be ready for school?
Absolutely. When play is done correctly, it's more than enough to prepare a child for learning and for their school journeys. It builds the foundations of learning, and those foundations that a child needs is communication, confidence, curiosity, independence, and these skills are what they'll learn through play.
Yeah, it's all about the fact that the foundations have to be right, because a child actually won't learn until they feel confident. So until they have that confidence to enter a room on their own, until they can freely explore, until they're confident, being part of a classroom environment, it's very, very difficult for them to actually then go ahead and learn academically. And we do have a lot of academic learning as well. There's foundational maths, there's foundational phonics, which is all the letter learning. There's a lot of educational components to the element of play that we do, but we make it really good fun, because if you don't have a love for maths as a young child, you're not going to go on and learn to love maths when it comes to school.
Absolutely. It's important to look at the emotional well-being of a child as well, because we know that a happy child is a child who can retain information that they are learning.
Absolutely. So how do we turn play as teachers? You're a very, very experienced teacher. So how do teachers turn play into meaningful learning? How do we do that?
So teachers are very intentional with what they want a child to learn and how they set up their classroom and their objective of learning for the day. So teachers would do careful planning, they will curate their resources, they will look at every aspect of learning to guide children to learn throughout the day.
Yeah, we've got intensive planning, but at the end of the day, as we discussed just yesterday, we can make the best laid plans, but it has to be child-led. So if the child loses interest in what they're playing or learning or what tools we're using, we reroute them onto the next thing. Sometimes you can start with one activity and you move on to a completely different one by the end of it. But the key component is, by the end of whatever you've scheduled, even if it diverts, they've still learned something and they've had fun doing it, and you've taken their interests and their wishes into account.
Absolutely.
But we do a lot of planning to make sure that all the resources, all the materials, all the outcomes are there for the children's growth, don't we? So that's important.
Well, it might look like a child is just playing with water in a tough tray. The teacher might step back and let them explore and lead their own learning. However, a teacher would also know when to step in and provide extra resources like a measuring cup, or extending their vocabulary by adding words like full or empty or sink and float.
Yeah, it's all about the fact that the parent would look at it and think they're just playing with water.
Exactly.
But we're teaching them scale, size, weight, measure, a whole range of things to get them confident in these areas that we know are foundations for future mathematics, just by having a water play activity. So it's amazing. So this comes on to what you're really good at designing and what you've helped us do all over EBN. What does a good play-based classroom look like? What does it look like?
For me personally, a play-based classroom is a room that is flexible, it encourages curiosity, and it invites learning and play for a child. But ultimately, if you open a classroom door and children are happy, they can make a mess, they are free to explore whatever their interests are. That to me is a good play-based classroom.
Yeah, it's about the confidence walking in and variety, isn't it? We need to have variety. We need to rotate materials. We need to make sure that there's lots of different zones, because we look at early mathematics, we look at physical play, we look at motor skills, we look at having an area that's a comfy, cozy corner, we look at having a little mat for the circle timer to play on. There are so many different components and they're all rotating all the time, and that's part of the planning too, because we want to make it interesting, inviting and fun for children.
Absolutely. And a child that feels happy, a child that feels safe, is a child that can retain information and that can ultimately learn.
So just coming on to the last part, how do we plan for play if it's child-led?
I think the key is just to be flexible. If you plan for a specific activity on the day and you see that the children engages more towards a certain topic, like today you see that everyone is drawn to dinosaurs, it's about incorporating what engages children most and being flexible and constantly changing your learning opportunities.
And it's like what we said before, you might have a focused activity that you want to do and that's in your mind for the morning, and we've all done it, we've set a schedule for the day and decided, and we've realised that children need to go and do something physical. So that's when we take them to the playground or the auditorium that we have at Motor City, or a soft room, and we do a physical activity because we realise, you know, the attention span's not there. It's maybe Thursday or Friday, it's towards the end of the week, everybody's had enough of, you know, trying to focus. And also you might start an activity and think it'll be longer, and the children have actually explored it, got a bit bored, and it's time to move on to the next thing. So no, it's important to be flexible, isn't it? Because I think we know as early years educators, no one day goes as we plan it.
Goes the same, exactly. It never does.
We say maybe 5 to 10% we can properly plan ahead, the rest is variable, isn't it?
Very in the moment, absolutely. And most importantly, child-led. The children decide what they want to learn.
And it's all about having the key concept of having fun. So for learning through play, essentially for us, it's about making sure that the lifelong learning that's going to go on later in their life has a foundation of being lots of fun, drawing children in and something that they want to do.
Exactly that.
Well, I think that's us covered everything for today. So thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful speaking with you.
It's just such a pleasure to work with you every day. And we see all of this coming through in all of our EBN teachers' practice every day. And it's been really, really good to chat to you and share all your knowledge today.
Thank you for having me.